By the end of this video, we will hook up a basic animation to open the crate to our shop system. Players can purchase crates and watch the crate's opening animation. For anyone that's just joining us, we are going to split this trial system over a few videos due to the duration of the tutorials. You can find the full playlist in the description. To get started, we need an interface for the user to see the crate being opened. Insert a screen GUI into starter GUI, and just name it crate GUI. I'll duplicate the template from the item frame and drag it into the crate GUI. I'll rename this to crate view and remove all of its children. This crate view is just going to be the viewport frame that's going to hold our crate. So let's just do some property changes. I'm going to make it visible and just drag it into the middle of the screen. Now at the minute it's a offset size, I want it to be scale. I'll just set it to something like 0.150, 0.30 and see what that's like. Okay, so that's a square. I'm just going to resize it until it's a size that I like it. So I have got a size already, 0.1740, 0.3280, and I will put that in the middle of the screen. Next, I'll set the background transparency to 1 so we cannot see it, and I'll make it invisible. All it's going to do is hold the crate. So for instance, if I make this visible, if I just drag in a crate, like a common crate, I can see the crate. So, and then we'll make it animate on the screen. That's how the animation will work. It's a very basic animation. Of course, feel free to make more complicated stuff, but for the sake of the tutorial, I want to make something simple, but still decent. I'll drag the common crate back into the crates folder. Now in our crate handler server script, we've got this code here after we deduct the currency where we want to give the crate to the player. So to give the crate to the player, I'm just going to find the crate from the crate folder, which we want to clone. And for that, of course, we need the crate folder. So I'm going to create a local crate folder, which will be replicated storage.crates. And let's find the clone. So local crate to clone is crate folder, colon, find first child, and we're going to look for the crate type, and I'm going to append that crate name. Because if you remember, crate type will be common, rare, legendary, stuff like that. It's the name of the crate. And then our naming convention, we add the word crate with an uppercase C on the end. So that's how we can find the crate. If the crate doesn't exist, then we're going to add back the currency and we're going to return. Now, a better way of deducting and adding currency is to clone the crate first. So before we deduct currency, let's move the give crate to above deducting currency. And now we can say if not crate to clone, then we're going to return and end. Otherwise, we're good to remove the currency. Now we want to handle the animation on the local script. We don't want to handle the client's animation on the server because that's unnecessary. We want to handle the client's animation on the client. So we need a way to communicate back to our shop handler script that this script here has finished running and we're ready to clone the crate. So in the local script, we want to access this crate to clone variable and clone it. The best way of doing that is return it. Let's return crate to cloned. Now the problem with this, we're returning an object from a remote event on server event. Well, this function is connected to the on server event. It's not returning back to the client. In order to get a return, we need to use a remote function. So what I will do is under my remotes, I'm going to add a remote function, which I will rename by crate instead of the remote event, and I'll delete the remote event. And the only code that will change now is rather than using onServer event, we'll use onServer invoke, and we don't connect a function, we set it equal to a function. We're doing remotes.byCrate.onServer invoke equals function, and the rest of the code is the exact same. Now the difference with the remote function is that we can return an object back to whatever calls it. We can remove this last parenthesis after the end here, as we no longer need that. Now let's close the crate handler script. Now in our generate GUI method, where we have this by crate fire server, I'm going to set this to a variable, so local crate equals, and now this will get the returned value and store it in this variable here. So our crate that we want to clone gets stored in this variable. Now when we fire a remote function, we don't use fire server, we actually use something called invoke server. And this will get back the crate. However, you'll remember that we sometimes return nothing, we return nil. If we return nil, then we want to set the background color of the button to like red for a split second, or some sort of indicator that they don't have enough money, or there was a reason that they couldn't purchase the crate. So we'll say if crate, then if the crate does exist, then that's great. We'll set background.visible to false on the shop, so we'll hide the shop so they can't see that anymore. Otherwise, we're going to say buy button dot background color free is color free dot from RGB, and I'll give it a red color such as 2554141. Then we'll do task.wait, and I'll display the button as being red for maybe half a second, and then set buy button dot background color free to color free dot from RGB, and maybe this one will go back to my green, which I think is 91.255.32. Okay, now let's just give this a quick test. So I've got 300 cash. If I click 250, it works and disappears the shop. If I click it again, I don't have enough and it flashes red. Next, we'll call a new method if the crate does exist, which will be called open crate, and we're going to pass through the crate that we want to open. Now in this method, I'll make it just above here, function open crate. It's going to take a crate, which is a model, and we'll set the parent of the crate to the crate view. So we need to get the crate view in the GUI. So to get the crate view, we need to get the crate GUI. So after we get the local GUI, I'll get the local crate GUI, which will be GUI.parent, wait for child, crate GUI. And once we've got the crate GUI, we can then say local crate view is crate GUI, wait for child, crate view. Okay, so then we'll set the parent of the crate to crate view, and we can set crate view to be visible so we can see it, so it's true. Then we can wait for maybe 2 seconds and then set the crate view dot visible back to false, and we can destroy the crate. Let's see what this looks like now. So if I press the shop and get the legendary, it appears for 2 seconds, disappears, and it's gone. And now when I click it again, we get this error here. The parent property of legendary crate is locked. Current parent, null. New parent, crate view. We'll come back to that in a minute. First of all, let's make our crate animate. We need some sort of animation for it. It doesn't look very good at the minute. So at the top, I'm going to get the TweenService. So local TweenService is game::get service TweenService. This will allow us to get some animations. I'm going to create some constants. So we're going to have a local duration. This is the time that the crate will be on the screen for. We're going to have a single tween time. So local single underscore tween underscore time. So the way I'm going to make my animation work is I'm going to have the crate rotate left and right, back and forth, sort of like a rocking animation. The single tween time is how long it takes to go from center to the left or the center to the right. It's the duration for it to do 1/2 of its rocking phase. So I've set that to 0.2. I'll set the angle to 5. This is the angle it will rotate by. If I go on to the crate view and make it visible, and I drag in a crate such as the common crate, if I rotate this by 5, if I go to rotation and set it to 5, it will rotate to this much, and then -5, 5, and it will kind of rock back and forth like that. You can kind of imagine how that would work. Okay, I'll drag my common crate back, and I will set my crate view to invisible. Now we need a method to animate this, so let's say function animate, and we're going to pass through the direction and the start time. I'll come back to these two in a minute. Both the direction and start time are numbers, so what we're going to do is check if the current time minus the start time, so if the time we're currently at minus the time that we started the animation is greater than the duration. In other words, if the time we've been running the animation for is greater than the duration time, we're going to stop the animation. So if tick gets the current time since the Unix epoch, I'm going to subtract the start time, and if this is greater than or equal to the duration, then we'll just set the crate view rotation, so crate view.rotation back to 0, and we'll return just to reset it. Otherwise, we're going to create a new tween. So local tween is TweenService :create, and in this tween, first thing we need is the instance we are animating. We're animating the crate view. We want to rotate the crate view. Next, we need the tween info. So the tween info gives a sort of goal of values. So let's say tween info.new, and in here we need our tween time. So this is the single tween time. the easing style, which for a rocking animation, I recommend using enum.easingstyle.sign, and then enum.easingdirection.inout. And finally, we need the property that we want to apply the tween to. So in a table here, we'll say rotation equals direction multiplied by the angle. This rotation here must be spelled exactly how the property is spelled. So in the properties panel, you can see it's spelled rotation with an uppercase R. It must be spelled exactly the same or it will not work. Once we set the tween up, we can say tween:play to play the tween, and we will run a function when the tween has finished animating. So remember, this tween is from the center to the single tween time. So this tween goes from center to the left or the center to the right. That's all it is a 5-degree animation. It's not the entire animation. So once we've finished one part of the animation, we need to rerun the function in the opposite direction for the next part of the animation. So if we're going left, we want to rerun the function in the right direction. So we'll just do tween.completed :connect. We'll assign a function in here. And in this function, we'll just call animate, passing in negative direction and the start time. Start time always remains the same. Now the minus direction, if we start it, we want to rotate it right. So the direction will be 1 for right. -1 will be left. So you can see how that kind of works. We're just flipping the number. So now, instead of waiting 2 seconds, we can call animate 1 and then the tick that we're currently at. So if you don't quite understand what's going on here, don't worry too much. It is a bit confusing with all the times, but we're going to call this method passing through 1. So we're going to start by going right, and we're going to pass in the start time, which is the time that we first originally called the animation. Then we are checking if the time this animation has been running for is greater than the duration. If it isn't, we're creating a single tween for the single tween duration. And once that's complete, we're going to play in the opposite direction, so the -1, which is just left, right, right, left, and so on. We need to, at the minute, we're not waiting any time before hiding it to give it time to play the animation. So it calls the animation, then instantly destroys the crate and hides the view. So we need to actually wait for the duration of the animation, and we'll just give it +0.2, just so it's got some time to go back to normal, or we can just plus the single tween time. Now if we run it, let's try it again. So the legendary, we can see the animation on the screen, it stops, and then it would open. Let's try it with a common, plays the animation, it stops, then it opens. And if we do the same crate that we've already done, we do get this error. The parent property of common crate is locked, current parent null, new parent crate view. So let's look into that. Now the reason this happens is because we are using the original crate. We're opening it with the original crate. We're not cloning the crate, so we're changing the parent of the crate on the client, and then we're essentially deleting it on the client so it no longer exists when we next try to replicate it. So let's say local cloned crate is equal to crate:clone, and then rather than doing crate.parent, we'll do cloned crate.parent and cloned crate:destroy. Now if we run it, we can run the same crate more than one time. As you can see, it's working. Now the only problem is we can open loads and loads at the same time. So we need some sort of value, some sort of way to stop us from opening the same crate all the time. So the best way to do that would be a value. Let's go to the leader stats, and inside of we don't need to save the data. In our player added method, I'm just going to add some crate related data. So I'll just create a local isOpening, which will be an instance.new, and it's going to be a bool value. IsOpening.name will be isOpening, and this will just tell the server whether or not the player is opening a crate. IsOpening.value will by default be false, so we'll set the parent to the player. It doesn't need to be in the lead stats, just in the player. And now, inside of our crate handler, after we've deducted the currency, we can say local isOpening equals player, wait for child isOpening. Make sure you spell isOpening here exactly how you've spelt it here. And once we've got isOpening, we can say isOpening.value equals true. Now we need a way to set it back to false. So once we've destroyed the cloned crate, we can add a new remote event into our remotes folder, and I will rename this to finished opening. Just add that at the top to our events, local finished opening equals remotes, wait for child, finished opening. And then once we've destroyed the clone crate, we can just say finished opening, fire server. And now in our crate handler again, we can do remotes dot finished opening dot on server event, connect function, passing through the player because that's automatically passed through if you remember. And in here, we'll just do this exact same 2 lines of code. And instead of setting it to true, we'll set the value to false. Perfect. And now in our crate handler, right at the top, before we even do our validation, we're just going to check. I'm going to move our local is opening right up to the top. And we'll just say if is opening dot value is true, then we're going to return. We don't want to try and buy another crate if we're already opening one. Now if we test this, if I go and buy a legendary crate, I can't buy another until that one's open. Perfect. Stay tuned for the next video to this tutorial. I hope you found this one helpful. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe for more tutorials. We have a Discord server, which you can find the link to in the description, where you can ask for programming help, help others, or just chat there. You can also leave feedback on our videos and channel. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.